and we'll just jump in and get going. Kirby, where's your, you've got a blind spot, is it all clear? Okay, so if I right up here in this corner, it's okay?
I hope so.
Okay, I'm going to put the first glyph in the Hebrew, which is called the Aleph, A-L-E-P-H. That's the first letter, and its value is number 1. It's the first glyph, the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet. The second one would be this character right here, and this one's called Beth, B-E-T-H, or Veth, V-E-T-H. It's the first of what they call doubles.
Is that a V?
Doubles, huh?
Yeah, okay.
That's like A, B, C in the English alphabet. In Hebrew, this is Aleph Beth. This glyph is the first glyph in the Bible. Its value is number 2. Okay?
Yeah, Lynn,
Huh?
you're gonna need to move the,
Is the sun coming in messing it up?
yeah, it's taking out that whole corner.
Taking out that whole corner on me. Let me see if I can turn it just a little bit.
Slide everything toward this way.
No? Didn't have-
No, it's either gonna have to come forward or way,
Or
move
come
way
down.
over.
Okay, let me just move it right down. Is that all right if I move it down here?
Yep.
I'm just gonna do it like that. That's number 1, I'll leave. And this is number 2. I'm gonna kind of work with these two for just a second here, or just a minute or two, so that you can get an idea. In Hebrew, there are 3 divisions, okay? In the alphabet, there's 3 different divisions. There's the first division called the mothers, which are 3 glyphs. The Aleph is the number 1, first glyph. The Mem, which is in the middle of the alphabet, it's number 40. And then the Sheen is next to the last. Those are called the 3 mothers. So from the mothers, when you talk about mother universe, mother God, stuff like that, that's where the idea and the concept comes from. Then the next is the Beth. It's the first of 7 glyphs that are called the doubles. Notice the word 7. So 7 is predominant. Anywhere you go in ancient material, scripture, I don't care where you go, 7 will become a predominant number. The Bible opens up with the 7 yawns. See, the 7 yawns are the 7 most facets. You have 7 endocrine glands, 7 glands that build the physical body. So 7 then become, we call it the number of perfection, or it's the number of totality. Both of those words are correct because the physical body is the perfected temple of God. It's the totality of all that God is. So you have 7 doubles. The reason they're called doubles is because they have both male and female aspects. So everything, every creature, everything that there is has this double in a material manifest world. It has this double, male, female. The poles, just exactly like every man and every woman is both male and female. You can say every man and every woman is both Adam and Eve. See, I mean, these are all things that we have not known. These are things that we have been lied about. You know, they try to tell you Adam and Eve were both separate people. I tell you what, Eve don't even appear until the end of the 3rd chapter. People say, but yeah, well, what about she was in the middle? What about God took a rib out of her? No. In Genesis 2, it says that God took a sail out of Esh to build Eshah. That's the word Esh is the word that's translated for man. That's the male. The positive, that's this. To build the female, that's the negative, that's this. That's the Eshah. So all of these things, all of these ideas in Genesis 1, 2, and 3 are profound. If we understand them, they all apply to the physical body. They're not a story about somebody 2,000, 6,000 years ago, 7,000 years ago. They're not. There's no Adam and Eve. You are Adam and Eve. You know, people say, oh yeah, I know that. You know, because you believe it. I hear people say, oh yeah, I know that. And then they'll start telling this story about Adam and Eve. A literal Adam and Eve. I said, there ain't no literal Adam and Eve. And people, you know, it's got to be. See, there ain't no woman that made a mistake back there. Everybody said, oh, well, you know, she ate the apple. No, that's a story you've been told. It's a lie. It's not an apple tree. Ain't no woman to eat an apple tree. These are things that we have to kind of come to a foundational grip with. This is the Beth or the Veth. The reason the 7 doubles are called 7 doubles is because each one of them can be said 2 different ways. One of them has male content, one of them has female content, and they're the same thing. They mean the same thing, just exactly. See, this is we call it the house of God. That's why we call it Beth. And we use that phraseology to refer to Beth, because that's what it means. And the truer meaning of the word or the glip, Beth, is this. It's called container. It's called container. Simply because it contains. It's a holder. It's a house. It's designed to be filled. A cup is a container. You see, a house is a container. You are a container. That's the Beth. That's the first glip in Hebrew. That first word. In the beginning, I told you, they ain't got nothing to do with in the beginning. It's the Hebrew word Beth Rashit. Beth Rash Shin Tov. So it has to do with the Aleph. It's the middle glip in that Shi. It's the middle glip. This is the first glip. It's the container. And that would be you. That's me. You understand? So, I say those things because we're gonna kind of look at something and come to something here in just a minute that is parable. We talked about Mark 4. I think it's a more profound parable than we've really thought it was, or we've really thought about it. And so I'm hoping that it will ring clearer to us. This has a 2 value, okay? And so I want to put the monad or the circle, this symbol of eternal or timeless. Eternal is not a real, that's an English word, it's not that old. Eternal is not even found in Scripture. In other words, when Jesus offers you eternal salvation, that's not true. That's not even in the Greek, because there is no word eternal or everlasting. There is a word for timeless, or no time. And so that's what the circle represents, no time. Now, why? It has no beginning, it has no end. It is. And always will be. Period. It just is. It's timeless. Has no time. And so when we take the word eternal, then we say, well, we have an eternal home in glory. Jesus has gone into eternity. Now, all these words that we have Englishly put onto those ideas. You are the eternal. You are the timeless. Yeah. You never die. You move out of one house into another house. Don't we?
Yes.
Yep.
There are very few people stay in the same house their whole life. I mean, Sally's one of few that's in the house that she grew up in. There ain't many people that live like it. Most people move from house to house. Yeah. And that's just, see, you're in a new home. Yeah. See, these things, so we have to apply these things. Now, here's what I want you to see. This eternal, timeless, using these words for communications, timeless one, no beginning, no end, mirrors itself by looking at itself or looking into itself, and enters itself into that. That's called the sine wave. The sine wave is created because of the movement of the earth and the sun to give you spring, summer, fall, and winter. That gives us the illusion of time. Such a beautiful way that Annie ended our last meeting. Such a beautiful way. God and me, which is actually me and me. And that's what we want to remove. We're going to remove this illusion we call time. There's nothing in the earth that's measuring that. The trees, the animals, they're not measuring this thing we call time. They are engaged in living. But look what this did. When I put this in here, this sine wave, this gave this circle, it gave it an illusion or a paradox. It took one and made two. This is how the glips go. And then the third glip, this third glip is called the gimme L. And the gimme L, actually number 3, this value is number 3. It's referring to your male, female, the two, male, female, above, below, positive, negative, God, matter. It's referring to the male and the female with the divine bringing them together. So there's actually 3. So really that's what you are. You're a triune. You're a threesome.
Yeah.
What is that threesome? That threesome comes out of light, which is God, which produces life, and the two of them married together, becoming one, produces love. And so that's exactly what this is, light, life, and love. So you're the life and you're the love. You're the male and the female. But you're dancing with the light, God.
Yes.
Okay, so these things in Hebrew, the numerics of them are very important when you see these. And we begin to understand these glyphs. So this 2 came from this 1 because this 1 mirrored itself and created something. It created 2 things. And here's what I wanted you to see, because we've been talking about A star, S-T-A-R-O, A star, O, L-O-G-Y. God is the S-U-N, right? Sun, energy, light. So A star or A sunology is the study of God. Astrology is the study of God. Why? Because God is light. And so when we get into the true understanding now, we've been told that it's not. We've been told that astrology is a pseudoscience.
Yeah.
Witchcraft. It's demonic. It's the devil. The devil's trying to predict things. But anybody and everybody that's ever predicted anything did it because they studied astrology. Because it's only through the study of astrology, the movement of the sun, the moon, and the planets and the stars, that you can begin to see, well, they're moving this way. They've always moved this way. And if we get to understand their pattern of movement, we can say, okay, here's what they'll produce. Why? Because they get to a certain place of mixture. They'll produce certain weather patterns, or they'll produce certain things. You see what I'm saying? Or the energies of this movement will begin to produce and grow things in the earth. We know that. So, come to that, Beth, 2, mirrored itself. Logic comes from the Greek word logos, L-O-G-O-S. And we talked about last time in our last session, Genesis 1:1 and John 1:1 have nothing to do with the same thing, using one English word that's the same. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word. The word beginning is arche. Just look it up. Get you a concordance. I don't care, a Strong's or any concordance, look it up and see if it doesn't say the word beginning is archeon. And actually the word, if you look at the word archeon, arch referring to the arch or of the sky, or the first thing that you see in the morning. First principles. That's what the word means. Arch or archeon or archbishop, they're referring to first in place, first in line. So in the beginning, John 1:1, in the beginning was the Logos. It just simply means that the first principle is Word. Word is the vibration and movement of energy. Can you see that? I'm trying to get you to see such a huge difference in John 1:1 and Genesis 1:1. They are not the same, don't have anything to do with the same. John 1:1, in the beginning, was is an improper English word put there because anybody knows was is past tense. God never was.
That's right.
If you put God in was and you put God in the past, that's exactly where Christianity put him, and that's where Christianity wants you to think he is. They want you to think he's back there or he's up yonder somewhere. Tomorrow, he may come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you better be living right, bless God. If he catches you in a mess, you're in trouble. Because you're going to go to hell and burn. So they keep you in that place. They never bring you into the place of now. Because it's only in now. God is always in the moment. God never was. God never will be. God simply is. Is always now. Present tense. If you've never read
Eckhart Tolle's book, read it, The Power of Now.
Yeah. He's not the great I was, but the great will be. He's the great I am.
Amen. Thank you. Absolutely. So, the movement of all this confusion, we're confused about it because we're not enlightened on it. We're getting that way, right? We're going to get enlightened on it so we won't be confused about it. We'll begin to understand the movement of that is the movement of me. As it moves, as it is, I am.
Yes.
And I got to associate myself, so it produces this thing called logos. In Greek, logos is a vibration, and in a vibration, we pronounce words. That's why we get words. So we equate that with words. And there's another word that's used in these words. And now, we took this word, logos, or word, W-O-R-D, and we applied this to one individual, one person. And we said only this one person, only this one individual in history was the Word. Nobody else is. That's an outright lie. You are the Word.
Yes.
You are the vibration. You are the Word of God. The energy of God, the vibration, the breath of God breathes and moves through you. Or you don't do anything.
That's right.
If you ain't got the breath, you ain't got nothing. We'll come and look at it and say, oh, don't they look sweet? Or whatever. So, here's a word, logos, word, and we put that on one person historically, individually in the past. And here's another one. That's not true because you're the logos. Here's another one. You're familiar with that one, aren't you? Christ. Christos. Well, who was the Christos? The same thing they did with this word, they did with this word, and they did the same thing to you. They said that was one historical person in the past that lived, that don't live no more, so there's not a Christ in the earth. Bull. See, again, the same thing. You have to understand, this is a vibration of energy that's in your body.
Yes.
It's the wind, it's the movement that causes you.
Yes.
If you did not have breath in you, you would not have word in you. If you have breath in you, you have word in you. And there's not a place on the face of this earth, Psalms 19:1, that says there's not a place on this earth that energy is not moving through words. It doesn't matter what language it speaks.
Amen.
Tells you that real plain, real clear. So there's no place in the earth that ain't got it now. So this didn't apply to somebody then. The Christos, one that's so confusing. In the Greek, we know this as an oil. Is this not correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, this oil actually is referring to a multiplicity of oils and fluids that's in your physical body. And there's just, a plethora of good stuff on the internet now about this Christos oil that shows you that oil is in you. It's produced up here and it flows throughout your whole body. It's produced by many of the glands. If the adrenal gland doesn't produce an oil and send all this energy out from your viscera to your arms and your legs, you don't have the energy to move and to get about and do what you do. These oils move in your physical body. These words are in your physical body. So this duality, Beth, is referring to the energy of God that's in your physical body. It's not about somebody 2,000 years ago. Even though, let's say there was a character 2,000 years ago that demonstrated this. Look at the demonstration of this character 2,000 years ago and see what it said. See what he said. He said, it's not me doing it, it's what? It's the source that's in me doing it. It's the Father that's doing it. If you're looking at me, you're looking at Him and it, the Father, the source. What I'm doing, you need to be doing.
Amen.
See? He wasn't trying to say, I'm special, you're not. Never did you see that Jesus said, I'm the only begotten Son. That's never a word that Jesus said. It says in John 1:14 that He was the monogenesis. That meant that He was born from this male-female principle. That's what it meant. There was no mother-father involved in it. It was both. The mother-father was both and. That's what the word monogenesis is about. It's not about one only begotten Son. It's about every son and daughter is begotten by this one and only energy. Wow, such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Look that word up for yourself. And it's hard to get a really good, clear understanding from that word from most of your concordances, simply because the concordances are dumbed down by religion. They're not dumbed down necessarily by the Greek or the Hebrew. They're just dumbed down by the religious translations and transliterations. So these two energies are at work inside you. These are the two, the Beth, the Mirror, the two that are actually one. They move, they work, and they coordinate themselves together inside your physical body. So, I said all that. I want you to turn with me in your Bible. Wow. Finally, we're going to look in the Bible. Mark chapter 4. I hope that this starts to take on a whole different light to you and meaning. And again, I'm not wanting to belittle or take away from Kenneth Copeland and his teaching on this that he gave to me 40 years ago that literally lit my fire. I just wish that now that there would have been greater emphasis on this parable, on what it's truly about, and less emphasis on it. If you give God $10, He's going to give you back $100, because that was to me, that was the sad emphasis that seemed to trail along with that charismatic. It was more or less a prosperity message, and I'm not saying God don't want to prosper us. God definitely wants to prosper us and bless us and have more than enough. I mean, you know, the earth is an abundant place and all that, but I hope that we can see this in a different light, because it is the principle of the kingdom of God. If you haven't heard it, that this is, as a matter of fact, if you look in Mark 4:26, I want to just read a few verses about this parable. It says, verse 26, and he said, so is the kingdom of God, as if a man should cast seed into the ground, should sleep and rise night and day, and the seed would spring up and grow, he knoweth not how, for the earth brings forth fruit of herself, first the blade, then the ear, and after that the full corn and ear. When the fruit is brought forth, immediately he putteth in the sickle, because the harvest is come. And he said unto them, what will we liken the kingdom of God, or what will we compare it? We compare it with a grain of mustard seed. If we look at that, it's not comparing it, sowing, to money. We use that illustration. Well, if I sow money, if I give money, I get money back, by just simply saying it's the principle. The principle here is the parable of the seed. Now, the word produces a seed, isn't that true? It's actually called that. You know, in the Greek, I think it's in 1 Peter, it actually calls the word the sperm. The Greek word sperma. And we understand what the sperm is. What is the sperm? The sperm is the seed that creates the material of the manifest world. Yeah. Now, if we will begin to look at that, not just as a corn seed or not just as a dollar bill, but we begin to look at that as God's deposit in me. This is the kingdom of God. Well, what is the kingdom of God? It's where God is in dominion in its domain. Right? So, am I that domain? Yes. Yes. So is God in dominion in that? Yeah. I permit that to happen. I want that to happen. I yield myself to that to happen. But you know, most of the time I don't yield if I don't know. Most of the time I can get in the way if by ignorance my people perish and are in captivity. Hello? Ignorance. Why? Has the church kept me ignorant? Most of the time. Why? Because it was ignorant. Because it didn't know how to see these profound truths. It didn't know how to extract the truth out of its own scripture. If all you get out of this is a surface reading of a historical book, you will never get nothing out of it but confusion. And I have so many people say, oh, I read it, but I can't understand it. Everybody says something different. You just surface reading, people do that, just surface reading. You're not getting anything out of it. You're not looking in depth in it and seeing what it's saying. And that's true for every one of us, no matter who we are. Let me move from that to this. And again, I know that it's relatively new for most of us, that the sowing of the seed, how many of you understand the sowing of the seed is an astrological allegory? If you don't understand it's an astrological allegory, if I were to go out there right now and 1st of February and begin to plant certain seeds, would I be wasting my time? Why would I be wasting my time? Because I am not reading the sign and the season.
Yeah.
Everything has a sign and a season. And if I don't know the sign and the season and I'm just ignorant, I think, well, they planted it and grew it and said they got this, and I'm going to go out there and plant it and grow it, and I should get this. I'm out of season. It ain't going to work. So then what do I have to know? I've got to go down there to the First National Bank and get me a calendar. I've got to learn to read signs and seasons. I need to know not only if it's in the wintertime, is it in the knees or the feet? You know, I got to know these things. If I don't know these things, I can be so earnest and sincere, so honest and integrous, and be ignorant. And that's not disrespectful to anybody. I'm just saying that it's just true for us. And to me, the spiritual truths should have primary place for me, in my thinking. They should have primary place in our life. And the more they do have primary place in our life, the more I think we'll see the results of the things that I long for in my life. And I know that we will. I know that. So, understanding not just the seed, because, you know, he says very clearly right here, back up to verse 14, he says, the sower sows the word. These are they by the wayside where the word is sown. When they have heard, Satan cometh immediately. Let me just say this about Satan. Satan is more like your immune system in the physical body. Satan is called he's called the antagonizer, or the, what is the word, defender, or, gosh, it's used that way in the Old Testament, actually. Let me see if I can.
Adversary?
Yeah. Adversary. That's the very word I wanted to use. Satan is used as the adversary. Satan is your immune system. Your immune system is an adversary to anything that is foreign that comes into your body.
Yeah.
And if your immune system is up to speed and is strong like it needs to be, your immune system immediately will attack anything coming into this house. That it will be like a Satan to it. It will immediately go after it and get rid of it. It will go to it and it will create. If you hurt yourself, if you cut yourself, or if you harm yourself, immediately Satan, the immune system, will go there. It'll create a fever. It'll create a band of antagonistic cells, and they'll go right there to fight that foreign object that's come against you. That's the truth of Satan. So Satan is an ally. If you understand the Hebrew word Satan in its true meaning and understanding of the word. And it's used that way in the Old Testament. It's not used like we think it's used in the New Testament, where Jesus says Satan comes immediately. What he's saying right here is that energy of defense comes to that place. Well, if you don't know that, do you not realize that what happens when that seed penetrates that egg in the womb of a woman, automatically they create something in the womb of a woman that woman's body thinks is antagonistic to her body, and it automatically goes to war in her womb and creates this pouch that it grows in. Oh, it's such a beautiful thing. If you go in and Google it, the war that goes on in her womb and in her belly that creates, it's a war, a bloody war. That inside there, this is why, because that Satan, that immune system, is trying to get rid of this seed that's come into this body, not knowing that it's creating something marvelous. Wow. Well, that's true when you plant corn in the ground. That's true when you plant anything out there in the ground. It's gone into a dark place. It's gone into an inferior place, and all of a sudden, that comes around it. Satan comes immediately. Why? He comes in there to attack, or to go against that seems like it's foreign. But what does it do? It gives that thing the energy or the food it needs to grow. I tell you, I can't remember the website that I can go on. And if you haven't read Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief, you need to get in and read that book, because it kind of gives you a description of what I'm talking about, especially with the seed as a foreign object in the womb of a woman. It's a beautiful, beautiful analogy and story. When you see it, maybe it would help prick your mind and help enlighten you as to what I'm saying. So he says Satan comes immediately to take away the word that's sown in the heart. And these likewise which are sown on stony ground, when they've heard the word, immediately they receive it with gladness and have no root in themselves and endure but for a time. And afterward, when affliction or persecution arise for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. I hope that you'll begin to see this in another light that shows you that anything that's happening in you or through you is through that endurance of that word that bears fruit. It's only the ones that bear fruit, because most of them don't bear fruit, and that's a good thing. When you see it, you realize a good thing. I pray that a lot of my seeds don't grow, especially if I'm saying them in the wrong attitude, the wrong spirit, and all the other things that I'm doing. I'm not understanding the season or the time. Do you understand? All that is ignorance.
Yeah.
Just don't understand the season or the time. It's not the time to plant. It's not the season to plant. So when I understand, how am I going to do that? I have got to go and do an A-starology. I've got to get the word, the logos of the light. I need to understand the light. I need to hear the light. Got that? All right. Let me just read you. I've got so many notes here, it's ridiculous. And let me do this, and that way I won't get off on rabbit trails. Each planet, and when you divide this into 12 segments, you have the sun, the moon, and then you have 7 planets. Or you have the sun and the moon and 5 planets to give you the 7. But you always come up with that 7. You see that? And I realize that's kind of confusing sometimes with people. We're calling beginner astrology. But nevertheless, that's how they do that. They use those sun and the moon and then 5 planets, or just 7 of the visible planets. Of course, now in science they say there are 9 planets. I think that they've added a couple that they can see with a powerful telescope. But the ancient mythology is built off the sun, the moon, and 5 planets, or just 7 planets. So the Earth, the sun, the moon, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Of course, the 2 that I'm talking about that they added way on out there are Uranus and Neptune. They represent the energetic parts of our body, are the components, are a component of our life. When I said are, they represent a component of our life. And you talk about Mars, or you talk about Venus, or you talk about Jupiter, what ideas come into you if I said they represent a component of your life? Could you think of love? Could you think of emotions? Could you think of energies or something like that? Because see, that's what these planets represent. So if you have certain planets in your birth chart, then you will automatically be born with certain of these elements in you. More than other elements. Maybe more emotional. Have you ever some people more emotional than other people? Oh God.
Yeah.
Here they are.
Yeah.
It's just them. I'm an emotional person. So I can cry. I'll cry. Now, I went for years and years hard-hearted and didn't cry because I was training myself to be hard-hearted. But at my true makeup, my astrological makeup, I know I'm emotional. In other words, I'm tender, so I'll cry on occasions. I get to think about something or something touched me, I'll cry. Now that's emotional. You say, oh, you're going to do it, you'll cry. I'll cry, I might cry. So those are traits of people. There's nothing wrong with them. There's not anything wrong with them. Just the position of each planet in the heavens indicates the style in which the planet's component is manifest. So in all of your charts, I know Sally has one, and Cheryl, did you have one? And he's got one. And you can go online and Google, and we have to learn to read them. We just have to learn to read the charts. But the position of the planets will indicate many of the styles that the planets have manifested in your life. Yeah. See, it's all about getting to know you. Getting to know you, getting to know all about you. But that's you doing that. What good is it for me to get to know all about you, don't know nothing about me? Didn't serve any good. So natal astrology observes that the positions of the planets at the moment of your birth indicate the style in which each planet's component is manifested in your life. So that's one of the purposes or one of the reasons to do astrology. And basic astrology takes 4 things into account. And I know you have to hear this over and over and over and over. It's not just you can read it, or unless you have some kind of a photograph of memory, and that's okay, many people do. Basic astrology takes 4 things into account. It takes the planets, okay, we just got through discussing that, including the star and the moon, and especially star and the moon. It takes those in, that's the first thing. Second thing, the zodiac signs, which the planets are in. And that goes back to what we had discussed earlier this morning when we talked about the zodiacal wheel, the 12 signs, and the wheels of the houses. The houses represent each one of the signs, the zodiac. Okay, and the zodiacal sign is where the sun moves yearly. The house signs is where the sun and the moon move daily, every day. So see, during the 9 months that you are in gestation, you are being completely and wholly built by all the 9 houses. So really, in truth of the matter, when you study your cross, you've only touched a speck of who you really are, because really and truthfully, you're the whole thing. And actually, I'll guarantee you can go through there and find traits of yourself in every one of them. You may find more predominant ones in your birth sign. No, I won't say that. You definitely will find more predominant things, but the whole thing's inside you. Well, it was there, it was put there for 9 months. That's how the energies, that's how God, astrology, Elohim, that's how God built you. Okay, so the zodiacal signs, which are the planets, which the planets are in. And then the third is the houses. Zodiacal is yearly, houses are daily. Okay, monthly. And then this part, this last one, this fourth one, gets really confusing, and it's called the aspects. And I'll just read you some things that I wrote in my notes about the aspects. An aspect is the angles the planets make to each other in your own personal horoscope. So your forecast. It's a diagram of the positions of the planets or the signs inferring individual character and personality traits. You see, that's what your sign is doing. It's branding you. It's branding you. You know, just like God's got that brand on you, and that means this is who you are. It's your personality traits, and it is foretelling events of the person's life. Okay? It's also, it tells, these are the aspects. It's also telling the sextile. Sextile just simply, there's three different aspects that are listed here. Actually, there's 4 because it deals with positions, but let me read you these aspects. I know they're rather confusing. That the conjunction, that's the blend of the planets and their points. That's the first thing about the aspects. When you're looking at your chart, the first thing is how these all blend together, because they're blending together for you. The sextile is your individual, male or female, talents. In other words, your energies, individual talents, energies that one may direct or cultivate. Now, there's certain things that I don't have in my sextile part of my aspects that no matter how hard I work at it, I'm not going to cultivate and develop it. It's like I have 3 son-in-laws, and I tried my best to teach them how to work on a car. It was futile. It was ridiculous. I got 6 grandsons, and I tried my best to teach them how to work on a car. Now I have 2 that take on their papa's like for speed and loud noise, but that's all they know. It's speeding loud noise. They don't know how to work on the car. Why? It's not in their aspect. It's not there. You can't take somebody that don't know anything about an automobile and has no mechanical mind at all. Now, I had a woman work for me years ago, and she was as sharp as any guys I'd ever had work for me, and she worked, and he got her pretty little fingernails greasy and dirty and everything. She was a good mechanic. She had that aspect in her chart. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So these are things that you have to know because you have skills. Some of you have musical skills and talents. I don't. I don't know how to find a tune because I don't know what tune there is. I mean, I sing in all of them. I'm talented. I can sing opera and soprano, bass. You name it, buddy, I can sing them all. It sounds horrible. My mama, when I was, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7, she made me take piano lessons for 1 year. She finally got tired of pouring her money away. Yeah, really, I took piano lessons for 1 year, and today I might can hammer out that one thing, and for some reason I like to hammer that one note. Dum 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 dum. That's the only one I got. Oh God. Oh boy, we got the tutor cranked up. Can y'all resonate with this?
Yep.
Can y'all resonate with this? Some of this kind of you begin to see we're not the same. And that's the beauty of it. This is the most beautiful thing. You see, you can have, listen to this. Now here, once you get this, it will just totally, it frees you. This lifes you. This enlightens you. And then you get free from trying to judge people, and you get free from trying to make everybody be like you or be like this or be like, they can't be like anybody but who they are. Because they can be born at the same time, under the same moment, under the same exact stars, planets, and everything. But neither one of them had the same moment, the same daddy. They do not have the same DNA strand. They don't draw from that arrangement the same. They draw from it totally different. You can have trillions and trillions of people, and they'll never be two alike.
Yeah.
God, I mean, it takes wisdom beyond anything we can comprehend to come up with that. I mean, man, that puts God in the category of his own, right? That's phenomenal. So, the sextile, the individual talents, the energies that one may direct or cultivate. If you have that in your sextile of your aspects, you can cultivate it and do something with it. If you don't have it, my grandsons don't have it, so I'm not going to dare let them come and do a brake job on any customer's car of mine. And they pull off and hit their brakes and keep going. That ain't good for them, that ain't good for me. And whose fault was that? Was that their fault? They didn't know. It's not in their chart.
Yeah.
Just that alone would be freed. So these are the aspects. There's 4 different components to the aspects. And that was the third one. The fourth one is opposition. And the opposition takes on two different ideas, or it's divided. It divides the circle into 2 different components or 2 different aspects. And you know, when you're looking into a mirror at your own internal struggles, that's one of the main things that we get from the opposition are those things that I struggle with. There is no one sitting here that don't struggle with his or her own thing. That's your opposition. That was given to you. It's a gift you have. It's there for you to own it. If you don't know that, you know what? You'll shun your oppositions. You'll be afraid of them. You'll turn away and run from them thinking that it's a devil going to get you. But when you learn to face this and you realize that the part of the aspects of the signs that they've given me is my opposition.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, and that's there to strengthen you and to make you stronger.
What did you say that was the 4th one?
The 4th one, it was the opposition.
What was the 3rd one then?
The 3rd one was the sex. I'm sorry, I skipped the 3rd one. I went from the second one, sextile, to the fourth one, I'm sorry. The third one is the square. And if you'll look at your chart, you'll see how it goes, and it goes all the way across, and then another line comes down.
Yeah.
Did you see it? Okay, that's your squares, and your squares are the cross points of the planets at your birth time. It's like it goes from here to this one. You got that? So that's the third one is the squares, the cross points of the planets at your birth, and those cross points create tension, or they are designed to stimulate you into action. I want you to hear this. I want you to get this point real good. They are designed to stimulate you into action. But, now listen to this. But, if you are not properly trained, or you don't understand what they are, they will create stress. Why? Because they're there. They seem to stimulate you to action. But what if you don't know what action to take? Then you just get all stressed out. And what happens when you get stressed? You know, they say more people in hospital as a result of stress, not anything else. Well, what if the only problem that they were really having was their astrological birth chart that they didn't know, the mom and daddy didn't know, and the preacher was too stupid to know it, told everybody it was of the devil, and so a lot of the problem were just simple things that they could deal with if they knew how, or knew what they were dealing with, and knew what they were talking about. So, the movement of the sun, let me just read this right here and kind of close with it. The sun takes 1 month to travel through each of the signs and circles the entire zodiac in 1 year. Okay? This is where the concept of a year comes from. The moon travels the entire zodiac in 1 month. You know, years ago, the calendar was set up on a lunar basis, and there were 13 months in the year. You know, way back in ancient times, that's when they were giving the moon. The months were based off moon. Now they are based, off the sun, solar. So that's the concept of the year. The moon travels the entire zodiac in 1 month. In fact, our word month comes from the word moon. M-O-N, moon, month. Our entire concept of time came about because the sun, the solar, and the lunar, the moon, cycles around the zodiac. That's where the concept of time. It's a concept, it's an idea, it's actually an illusion. Really don't exist. It really don't. So I wrote a note here, and I'm just going to close with this. I think that there is a great confusion about the wobble of the earth. Like a top, not only does the earth spin, it wobbles. And if it moves through space all at the same time. I mean, I have for years tried to get my brain to wrap its around this idea of everything's moving in so many different directions and all at the same time. It's going this way, and it's going like this, and it's going that way, and it's going sideways at the same time. It's just so much movement. But then I begin to help get this idea of these things down. This wobble is where I think a lot of the confusion comes from, because the wobble is so slow. It takes between 24,000 and 26,000 years to make one complete rotation of the earth.
Wow.
That's slow. That's slow. Actually, it breaks down into this. It breaks down into between each sign. Each sign has 30. Each sign has 30 degrees in it. 30.
Oh, wow.
30 times 12 is what? 360.
60.
Make a complete revolution. People say, well, where do you get the other 5 days? You get them right down here. You lose them right down here in December the 25th, 21st to the 25th. That's where they're lost in game. But either way, that's the story of the Christ child.
360.
Okay, so it takes, now watch this or listen to this. It takes, this we're talking about this wall, it takes this 72 years. 72 years. 72 years. 72 years, that's a long time. It takes 72 years to move 1 degree.
Good grief.
1 degree, and there's 30 degrees in each side. So if you multiply that times 360, you'll come up with 25,920. It takes approximately 26,000 years to make a complete revolution. That's based off its wall. And you have to understand, in each one of these 72 years of a very slow movement, these energies are combining and mixing and doing all kinds of tremendous things. So I think this is where so much confusion comes. This is because of the wobble that we have an idea or a concept of the great year, approximately 26,000 years. This can also, this can be, or may seem to be, very confusing. And I at first do realize that, or recognize that, and understand that to some degree. So what I just like to do, or I'm just going to quit right here. And again, I want to come back to say this. Compare this parable of Mark 4. I want us to start comparing it, thinking about it astrologically, because there's seasons, there's times. Not only does it deal with the soil or the individual that the seed is being planted in, it deals with everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Any place the sun and the moon are at, all where the planets and everything at, the timing of all of that, the time you're born, everything. Every bit of it plays a phenomenal part in who you are. And the thing that I would like to see happen for each one of us this year as we move with the cloud of the glory of God and what God's doing in all of us, with all of us, is we become more conscious of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know ourselves more and more and more. And in that we create a beautiful, beautiful place.
Amen. Amen.